Today's lesson is about plant, factory and office layout. A crucial role of the operations manager is to arrange the equipment, machinery and staff in such a way to ensure it's streamlined, flows smoothly, increases productivity and adheres to occupational health and safety, or OHS. Now I'm going to explain some of these factors more now. Some of the key factors in plant layout is that there must be enough space for volume of production. So when I design my product and then I think about the space I'm going to use to make that product, I have to make sure I've got enough space, because if there's not enough space, that can make the workplace quite dangerous, or it can affect the efficiency of the operations process. I need to make sure that we have an appropriate location of stock and inventory. Now, stock and inventory need to be ready for the operations process so that there's no delay. If I have my stock and inventory too far away, then I have to stop every time I need more raw materials. And I need to make sure that there's an efficient flow of the product through the system. So what we want is that from the time the raw materials start in the operation process, there's absolutely no stoppages, so that we can just have a constant flow. The machineries can be set on and we don't have to turn them off at all. That actually saves energy. Now there's 3 ways to arrange a plant layout. You can have a process layout, a product layout, or a fixed position layout. I'm going to explain each of these. What you'll notice about layout, it depends on the product or the service. Now, process layout. The machines and technology are grouped together by the function that they perform. It deals with a high variety and low volume, and the production is intermittent. It moves from one department to another. Now, for example, these are different machines that are needed in our operations process. What we'll notice is that the similar machines are grouped together and the raw materials are dealt with and they're produced there, and then they move on to the next set of machineries. As it says here, we're talking about low volume. So if I want to produce thousands and thousands of products, I am not going to use this process layout. Also, if I want to have a lot of variety in my product, I then will use process layout. So it's for high variety and low volume. So my example of the shampoo manufacturer may use process layout because they have a high variety in their product range. Now, for example, hospitals have areas dedicated to a type of medical care. They have a process layout. So they have one area of the hospital that's for maternity, they have one for intensive care, and they have one for children's health. Banks also use a process layout. They arrange their service to the different needs of consumers. So when I walk into a bank now, I notice that they will have a desk for mortgages, they'll have a business area, and sometimes they'll even have an insurance area, and then they'll have general banking. So they've actually grouped their staff and their resources according to the needs of the consumer. Product layout is completely different. Machines and equipment in this layout are arranged to suit the sequence of operations. The work flows from station to station. We need this layout if we're making a high volume of products and they are standardized. We often see it in assembly lines. And the operations manager set time targets for each stage of productions. So it can be quite a stressful layout to work in because you're actually given a time limit to deal with your part of the operations process. Now let's have a look at an example, and we're going to use the example of car production. The technology and labour is lined up in the order of their input into the production process. the unfinished product moves around the plant floor. So if you go and have a look at a car being made, what you'll notice it's a massive big space, and you'll actually see a car moving around that space, and you'll see the technology and the people waiting for that car so that they can then complete their task in the operations process before it moves on to the next person. Sometimes when making a car, the workers and the machinery are actually moving with the product because the machines do not stop. This is a classic example of product layout. Now, what if we're making a very, very big product? In this case, we're going to need fixed position layout. We also call this project production. We're talking about large-scale, bulky tasks. Fixed position layout means the labour and machinery have to come to the product. The product remains in one location. It is too big to move around an assembly line. Now, some examples are ships. So you'll be very aware that a ship is a massive product, and we can't have a ship moving around an assembly line. It's too big. Aircrafts, bridges, and houses are all examples of a fixed position layout. Now, this picture shows an aircraft being made. The actual aircraft will stay in the same position. We call that fixed position. And then all the inputs and the workers and the machinery will actually come towards the aircraft. That lesson was on plant layout.